Hey everyone, it's Kelsey. This is Essentially Book. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. And today I'm going to talk about the worst books of the year for me in 2023. I don't typically finish books I hate. So I very rarely give a book 1 star. This year, there was an exception to that rule. And honestly, the only thing I'm looking at to determine worst books of the year is 2 stars or below. And so I gave 7 books 2 stars and 1 book 1 star in 2023, which is pretty good out of 142 books. I want to read books I'm enjoying. I don't want to read books that I don't like. And a lot of these, the reason why they got a low star rating was like, I wasn't mostly enjoying it and then something happened at the end, or I had to do it for a review and just whatever. Usually I would probably DNF a 2-star book too, if I'm being honest. I gave the book Pandora 2 stars, and this book followed a girl who's lost her parents who were antiquity collectors, and they ran a store to sell these antiquities. They die suspiciously, and her uncle, who's her mother's brother, ends up taking like guardianship over her, owns the store because at the time, you know, women couldn't own property. And I thought it was gonna be a mythology book. If you look at the cover of the book, I thought it'd be a Pandora's box retelling. It was not, and that did it a disservice. There was a lot of unnecessarily graphic sex in the book when that wasn't really even a plot point that needed to happen in the book. It was so jarring. And then I was just bored. And there's a romantic relationship between the main character, and it was just so unbelievable. Like, it happened so fast. And then what you know about this character as the female person, like, she's just, I don't want to say that she's unlovable because that's terrible and not true. Everyone can be loved, but my problem was it just wasn't a very like real relationship. The purpose of the character in the book and what she was going for, I just didn't like a love story. I didn't feel like a love story was needed. And they made a love story in there. It was just, and it was boring. Okay, Pandora, 2 stars. And then this was the year I decided I'm done with the Saga book 8 got 2 stars from me. And I think at this point it's whiplash. Like, I don't even remember what happened in Saga 8. Honestly, at this point, it's about 2 alien species who live on competing planets that are at war with each other. They fall in love, which is super illegal, and are running away from like the Empire. And they have a child who's like the most wanted child in the universe because, you know, it's a forbidden love match, all of these things. And the art is beautiful, like the scope of it is really cool, but at this point I just don't care anymore. And I just think that at this point, like, it's just too wild for me and it's hard to follow what's going on. I was just kind of done. It is super graphic, and I don't necessarily love some of the graphic sex in this as well. Some of it has a point to the story, but then there's a lot of like not great consensual things that happen too that make it kind of hard. So if you're interested in this series, it's a graphic novel series, I would definitely look at triggers and know that it's not clean, appropriate, whatever. I'm just kind of done with it. It's too far-fetched. And then I read Ruth Ware for the first time this year. And I picked a book that I probably shouldn't have picked, but my next 2-star read was The It Girl by Ruth Ware. This was like dark academia. It takes place after college, and one of their friends is murdered, and the main character lived with the girl that was murdered, and you're trying to figure out who killed the girl, and then all these things are coming up from the past, and it just like, I don't know, I was just really bored. It wasn't the compelling thriller mystery that I thought Ruth Ware would be. And it was really more of a quiet mystery that was pretty predictable. I just was super bored with it, and so it got 2 stars. And then I did a video on Leanne Moriarty, if she was the author for me, and I gave 2 of her books 3 stars, but then this one I gave 2 stars, was Apples Never Fall. And again, this book is about like a mom who goes missing, and the reason in the end why she goes missing is so stupid. And the characters just annoyed me. They were like these privileged Australian characters who really do have it all, and like the mom is just done with whatever, and she ups and like meets a girl and lets the girl into her house, and they become fast friends, and then fast forward to mom missing, and you're trying to figure out, does this girl have anything to do with it? But it's in this like Leanne Moriarty style, and if you've read her, you know there's multiple characters. It takes forever to really get the story started, and this one especially, I just thought the pacing felt really weird. I didn't love any of the characters. I didn't feel sympathy for any of the characters. And it just didn't do it for me. It was not great. And like, this was the last book I read by her. No, it wasn't. This was the second to last book. Big Little Lies kind of redeemed her, but I will only read her old stuff if I ever feel like reading her again. This was truly the awfulest book, most awful, that I read by her. of the 3, and I just did not like any of the characters. So that really did it for me. And then I have 3 others that I gave 2 stars to, and they're all romances. So Enchanted to Meet You by Meg Cabot. I did a video on reading new release witchy rom-coms, and I think what this one did for me was I liked the adult storyline, but too much happened in this book. It needed more pages. It needed maybe another book to really flesh out the magic and what was going on. Because it's a rom-com and a romance book, it does kind of have to tie up at the end. So I just didn't think the world building fit. The world building could have been better. Also, there's some scenes with them, the main character as a teenager, and she's like getting felt up by a guy, and it just goes there right away, and you don't really know the characters. I don't really love teenage sex like in my books. It's just not my thing. And it was very jarring. So that one was a 2-star for me. And then I love Catastrophe by Helena Hunting. I've talked about this too in my Spookopoly vlog, but she's just a romance author that I don't know why I keep reading. This was probably better than others where she has euphemisms for body parts that are ridiculous. And this one had a cat as a main character. So I was for sure convinced this author was going to go there with something that I didn't really care to know about a body part being named. Thank the Lord it did not go there. In one of her books, she calls something a beaver button. So I don't know why I picked up more by her after that, but I did. It was an arc I got from NetGalley, so I did it to review, and then I needed a prompt with a cat on the cover, and it worked. Okay, and then the last one was Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I've talked about this recently in a holiday vlog, and yeah, just didn't do it for me. Main characters are named Beat and Melody, and that's all you need to know. Let's talk about the book I gave 1 star to this year, and I would have DNF'd it so hard if it wasn't a book that I picked for book club. So our book club's themes this past year was every month we had a topic, and you had to find a book that fit that topic. And we've had some good ones, we've had some misses, but mine was a miss. Everybody in my book club hated this book, but at the time it was kind of like a fun idea. So I had sex as the theme, and I should have just done a historical romance. I don't know why I didn't just do that, because those books are my favorite and it's fun to talk about them with people. No, I picked Bong by Mary Roach. And this is a book about the science of sex. And it is a very scientific book. People love Mary Roach. She takes topics, like she has one about the science of cadavers. I think she has one about animals maybe. And people really love her. I don't get it, because with this book, one, she made sex seem really gross most of the time, which like the science of it was really interesting at times, but also I didn't need to read a lot of the how they studied sex in the past and even now. And Mary has the opportunity, the author, to go into like multiple studies, research areas, and actually observe, talk to the people who are running these sex studies. And at one point, like her and her husband are a subject for a study, like they decide to join it and then she's gonna write about it. But there's other times where she's observing like surgeries and stuff, and she touches a person on the table. Doesn't talk about consent if that was given. I just don't feel like that was appropriate. And then there's other times where like she peeks in or looks at people without their permission. There's nothing in the book that says like she got that consent. And our entire book club, we were like, this is disgusting and terrible. Like, did she not get consent in the year of our Lord 2024? Now maybe the red flags are raised. And this came out in 2008. And I just don't, maybe consent wasn't as big then for like scientific studies. I mean, sure, she just like was peeking in to observe the study or whatever, but it's still a very intimate topic. And I just was very off put by that. I would hope in 2008 those standards were there in a way that they are in 2023, 2024, but nothing was said in the book, and it was just so jarring. She also just, her humor didn't really vibe with me, and the book was a chore. Like, I was hate reading it at a point, but because it was the book I suggested, I felt like I had to read it. I think half the book club DNF'd it, and the other half finished it, and we all hate read it. And we use the Fable app, which I'll link down below. I'm not like paid or have any sort of affiliation with them, but we use the Fable app to talk about books in our book club, and it's actually a really cool app because you pick the book that your book club is reading. You can make private or public book clubs. For your book, it shows like every chapter in your book. And once you've completed it, you can go into that chapter and read your friend's thoughts. So it's actually a really cool platform for like spoiler-free book discussions, and it's free. It's just actually really, really fun and cool. So that was really fun to read, like our conversation, but yuck, it was not a good book. Okay, so those are the 8 books that I gave 2 stars or below in 2023. And I know I talked about the 25 books that I gave 5 stars to in 2023. I started filming that video and I actually just didn't like it. I didn't feel like I had enough material for an interesting video. So I'm not gonna film that video. I'll probably still at some point work on making a graphic to show the books I gave 5 stars to and do maybe like community post and talk about some of the stats for that. But I started filming it and it was boring me even talking about it, so I didn't want to put that out for you guys. Bonus content will be coming for that. I just need to figure out the best design for that and all of that. So thank you for sticking around with me. And I'm still a little burnt out from filming videos from Vlogmas. So my January videos might be a little like delayed because I'm trying to figure out the content. I need to start reading books again. So I need to start reading again. Because of Vlogmas, I did not read very much because I was doing so much video content and all of that. So it's January 13th and I've only read 4 books this month, which is fine, but it's behind. So I'm super behind on some of the videos I wanted to film. So in January, there just might be a delay in the vlogs that I want to put out because I need to read books in order to vlog books. Weird, but I am having fun reading books right now. I just need to finish them. I'm gonna keep freezing here in Iowa with this blizzard that we've got going on. We've had like a week of snow. I think we're at like 22.3 inches of snow this week, which is more than we got all last winter. And it's freezing cold. My child is at his grandparents', so I've been able to film today, and we're gonna have a date night tonight. Since it's blizzarding and it's travel not advised throughout the state, we are just gonna stay in town. Some of our local restaurants are open and we get to go on a date tonight. And I'm pretty excited about that because we desperately need a date. And we just need to get out of the house and not parent for a little bit. Anyways, I'm really just rambling at this point, and I will get this video edited and up for you guys, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.